welcome to Sew Motion. Today I'm going to do a little demonstration on foundation paper piecing. As promised to my newsletter subscribers as part of their free block of the month Birds of a Feather quilt, I'm going to show you that there's nothing to be scared about, and with a couple of clever tools we'll be able to do the Flying Geese panel, which you can see down here in block 3. Okay, so let's get started. So as is in your instructions, you will need, for each paper block, so there's your paper template, cut these out accurately around the edges. Don't worry about seam allowances, that's taken care of in the fabric. Okay, so you need 8 of those in total. And then for each one of these blocks you need 3 5x3 inch rectangles in fabric E, which in my case is the grey. And then you need 6 triangles, which are cut from 3.5 inch squares in the background fabric and then cut along the diagonal to give you the triangles. Okay, so first thing to do is we're going to, as you can see, the template is numbered 1 to 9, and we're going to start with the shape at the bottom, which is number 1. So place a rectangle of your fabric E face down on your worktop, and then place your template face up, so you've got plenty of room all around the edge. And then insert a pin just to hold the fabric in place, but away from the line between shapes 1 and 2, as you can see on there. And then we're going to lay that flat down, and then you're going to take your A5 piece of card, or card, postcards, whatever, place it along the line between 1 and 2, and then fold your paper over. And then you take your add a quarter ruler. So as you can see on the add a quarter ruler has got a ridge on it, a 1/4 inch in from the edge of the ruler, and that ridge sits and butts up against the edge of your card when you come to cut. And then you can just butt it up and then cut on the edge of the ruler, and that cuts off your excess fabric. Okay, so you're now going to have a shape like this, and that is now your line of fabric to line up your first white triangle or background triangle. So you're going to place your background one of the triangles face down along that edge, plenty hanging over on each end, and then you're going to sew along that drawn line. So taking your stitch length down to 1.8, so you can easily remove the papers after, start just off the end of the line. And then you can remove the pin and then fold your triangle backwards. And then we're going to do the same the other side. So turn over your template, line your piece of card up in the shapes between 2 and 3 this time along that line. If you've gone over onto the fabric, just pull it so it lays flat. Cut off your excess, so you end up with a piece like this. And then you're going to line up your second white triangle along that line again, the edge of the fabric, like so. And then you're going to turn it over and sew on that line between shapes 1 and 3. So as you can see now, once you've sewn that second line, you turn again, press that second triangle back, and then you could press this with a dry iron just to get a nice tight fold. I'm going to finger press it for now. And then you to attach the next shape, which is shape 4, another flying geese. As before, you're going to place your cardboard along that horizontal line. Fold the paper over, take your ruler again, butt it up against the edge of the card, trim off the excess. So you're going to end up with a shape like this, and then you're going to take another Fabric E grey rectangle, line that then up against that top line, flip it over, and then you're going to sew along that drawn line between shapes 1 and 4, as you did before. So now, once you've sewn that line, fold back that next rectangle, so you can now see you've got a nice sharp point where the triangles meet there for your flying geese or goose. Then flip it over, and then we're going to do shape 5. So as before, put your card against that line, fold your piece of paper back, take your ruler, butt it up against the edge, cut off your excess, then take a background triangle, line it up against that edge, flip it over, and then you're going to sew down there and carry on as before until you've covered all the shapes. So as you can see, I've now attached all my pieces and covered all my shapes on the back. So now you see you've got excess all the way around, so we're just going to trim, leaving a 1/4 inch seam allowance around all the edges. So use your ruler, a normal ruler, and just line up the 1/4 inch line on your edge on your ruler, and then just trim. Obviously this is easier if you do it on your table and not on your extension table to your machine. So then just turn it, trim all the way around. So as you can see here, I've made up 2 flying geese blocks for my block 3 of my birds of a feather quilt, and we need to join these together into one row, like so. Now the good thing about doing foundation paper piecing the way I do it, where the papers don't include the seam allowance, means you've got all of the seam allowance is fabric, so I can easily join 2 pieces together without catching any paper in my seams, which you're going to have to take out later. And obviously that's a 1/4 inch seam allowance there, so you can just follow your line, your stitching can just follow the edge of the paper to join the 2 pieces together. So to join these 2 pieces together, I would put the one on top where you've got your point of your goose, just insert a couple of pins, or just one maybe, and then to be honest you don't even need to use a 1/4 inch foot or a 1/4 inch stitch on your machine, just sew against your paper. So as you can see, we've got a full flying geese block now, so I need to add on some borders and some more half square triangles to complete the block. Until I've completed the block, I'd leave the papers in just to give it a bit of stability. But for now, I'm going to pretend that I've sewn my blocks together so that I can show you how to take the papers out. So because you've done small stitches, just gently rip the paper away from the stitches, folding where you can so it loosens the stitches a bit, and then you can just pull the papers away. You can use an unpicker if you need to get into little corners to get the papers out, otherwise they should be fine. So I hope you've enjoyed this little tutorial on foundation paper piecing. This is the final block for my mystery quilt block of the month. If you want to find out more about that, you can sign up to be a subscriber to my newsletter at the website sewmotion.com. Details are below. Thanks very much. Until next time, be happy. Be happy. Until next time, be so happy. So happy.